Recording. All right. So again, with that, we want to welcome you all. And if you're not familiar with our organization, my name is Melissa Washington. I'm the CEO and founder of Women Veterans Alliance. We are a nationwide organization with our primary focus is to connect women veterans with each other and resources. And one of the ways that we do that is through our Wednesday webinar series is to connect you, the woman veteran, with some great resources as well. If you're on social media, please like us, follow us, subscribe to us, connect with us. We're on all the different social media platforms, and it's a great way to stay connected with us to find out about different events or other things that were happening. Also, too, if you are interested in becoming a Women Veterans Alliance member, you can do that via our website. You go on womenveteransAlliance.org/join. It'll share all the benefits with you. In addition to that, we are having a membership promo, and it's going to be 10% off any of our membership levels, plus you'll get a Women Veterans Alliance pin. But you can email me if you are interested in joining, and I can get you set up. And actually, you will, if you're interested in becoming a lifetime member, one of the great items that we have for our lifetime members, and our presenter, Shawn, also has hers on, is all of our lifetime members receive this beautiful scarf is part of our lifetime membership, in addition to some other great benefits. And if you haven't heard, we have recently launched a magazine, and it is the Women Veterans Magazine. We've launched the California edition. It's a state-by-state yearly publication that is available in print and online. Currently, we are working on Florida, Texas, DC, Maryland, Virginia area. So if you are in one of those states, we would love to have your photo, because each of these covers will have photos of women veterans that were either stationed in that state, from that state, live in that state. So you can send your photo, whether in uniform or out of uniform. We're also still looking for articles, as well as anybody that might be a published author from that area, as we like to feature in the magazine. And of course, we're also looking for advertisers. And if you happen to be in the Sacramento, California area, next Wednesday, we are having our launch party for the California edition. So in addition to I just want to share some of our upcoming webinars for the rest of March. As you'll see next week, we have Dr. Paris Love, and she's got, I'm going to share on, and I'm sure sometimes, you know, we all get that clutter without losing your insanity. So she's going to really talk to you and give you some really practical tips on how to navigate that. And then on the following Wednesday, on the last, it's not on Wednesday, it's going to be on Monday. So just let everyone know. So this is a Wednesday webinar series, but we are actually having that webinar. It's going to be on Monday, the 28th, with Shonda Thompson, who's going to be talking about who are you, the pursuit of authenticity through personal branding. And we are partnering with the EEOC on the 29th. We are going to have we're hosting a webinar for them to talk about disabilities and veterans in the EEOC. Fantastic webinar. And please share that with others, as there's going to be some fantastic information that's going to be shared on this webinar. So without further ado, because I don't want to take up her time, and I did want to share this about Shawn. You are we've done this many times. I'm gonna tell you, you're the best presenter as far as getting the word out about this webinar. And I know a lot of these people are here to see you because you invited them. And I want to personally thank you for getting the word out about this webinar. So I'm gonna read your bio. Shon Barnwell served in the United States Air Force for 25 years, reshaping organizations on 5 continents. Her areas of expertise include project management, logistics, process improvement, on-demand training, and consulting. She served in numerous leadership positions at the squadron, group, wing, numbered Air Force, and major command levels. She deployed in support of Operation Southern Watch in Bahrain, Occupation Iraqi Freedom in Iraq, and Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. During tours of duty as a superintendent, she was responsible for all matters affecting morale, welfare, resiliency, retention, recruitment, and readiness at both the squadron and major command. She rose to the rank of Chief Master Sergeant, a rank that reflects only 1% of the enlisted force. After retiring in 2014, she started an event planning company to provide professional, engaging, and memorable experiences for clients and their guests. She has launched 250 successful conferences, workshops, and special events. and delighted more than 35,000 people. In 2008, the National Veteran-Owned Business Association selected her company as a Minority Business Enterprise of the Year finalist. She leverages her travels to 26 countries to provide premier hospitality services. In 2022, Shawn launched a publishing company and released her first book, Leadership is about Behaviors, Not Titles. She conducts impactful workshops on leadership and professional development, conflict management, team building, career enhancement, and business etiquette for professionals. Shawn serves on several boards and also mentors veteran and military entrepreneurs and their spouses. Shawn is a Doctorate of Business Administration candidate at Trident International University, resides in Georgia with her husband, Master Sergeant Andre Barnwell, U.S. Air Force retired, and daughter Aliyah. Well, I'm telling you, I am privileged and so excited that Shawn has taken some time out to present the webinar here today. So I know she did post in the chat for all of you to share where you're coming from, because I know she's got some great giveaways. So Shawn, I'm going to give it over to you, and I'm going to get your PowerPoint set up for you. And thank you so much for spending the time with us today.
Well, thank you so much. So greetings, everyone. It is truly a pleasure and an honor to be part of the Women's Veteran Alliance webinar. Sending a tsunami of gratitude and thanks for each of you for the graciousness of your time and attention. And I definitely would like to thank Melissa for the opportunity to be here today. She is amazing. I mean, you read her bio and it's just like, whoa, there's no more room to add anything, but I'm sure she has a next big thing that's coming, and it will definitely be a benefit to women veterans worldwide and our entire community. So thank you so much, Melissa, for the opportunity to share, learn, and grow here today. And thanks to each of you for being here. And it's going to be engaging, so get ready to interact. I see that people are already adding where they're from. So again, thank you so much. Next slide. So in keeping with the tradition that I have when I host a presentation, I always start with a quote that sets the tone. And I believe impactful leaders serve the people. I love this quote by Dr. Cornel West that said, you can't lead the people if you don't love the people, and you can't save the people if you don't serve the people. Now, I'd like to also preference the use of the word love. When I see that word in this context, for me, it means a sense of brotherhood and sisterhood, that type of love. Basically being a kindred soul to others and extending a measure of respect, decency, and civility to one another as our paths cross. So that's how I interpret that word love. And if you don't know Dr. Cornel West, he is a professor of philosophy. He has authored over 20 books. He's an activist, and he spends an immense amount of time traveling, speaking on the topic of truth, love, and justice. Next slide. So I'd like to start with an overview. Y'all will see the skates. I love to roller skate, my pastime. So these graphics are going to be a little different than what you might see, but I like to personalize. So we're going to talk about being impactful. Just a little tip on who Shawn is in case people do come later and they miss the bio that Melissa gave, just a synopsis. I always like to tap on the with him, what's in it for me. So hopefully that'll encourage some folks to put their phones down and take some notes. And then we're going to talk about respect, trust, cooperation, and empowerment. There will be a call to action activity, and we'll do Q&A, and then we'll do a wrap up. And there'll also be a giveaway. So I thought I'd be able to see numbers on here, but so far I've got a system, so we'll be good. Again, we're going to be interactive, and we're actually going to start with our first activity in a moment. So next slide, please. Like many of you, I am on a journey to do something that creates a legacy that lives well beyond my lifetime. And that mission is to ensure leaders worldwide are impactful at every turn in their career. I believe that leaders do three things: solve problems, support the pack, and develop new leaders. And that support the pack encompasses taking care of the mission and taking care of the people. I wrote my first book, Leadership is About Behavior, Not Titles, as a way to help people at all levels learn and grow. When we stop doing either of those things, that's when problems occur. So what I'd like you to do is type in the chat something that you've done in the past week as an impactful leader. And it doesn't have to be long. As an example, last week I participated in a career and graduate expo at a historically Black college and university. So let's get a few of those in there. List something that you've done in the past week as an impactful leader. Let's see what kind of responses we get. Okay, Trish Ross, Commissioner Trish Ross advocated for pay raises for her team. Wonderful. She is in Georgia and doing some amazing things for veterans all over the state and beyond. Thank you for sharing. She's also Colonel Ross, Vice Commander of Robins Air Force Base, or actually the 78th Air Base Wing. So thank you, Colonel, for sharing. Someone attended a Veteran Suicide Prevention Coalition meeting. Great, we need that. Unfortunately, numbers, even if the number is one, it's one too many, but that's impactful. Thank you for that. Stepped up to coach his son's T-ball team. Beautiful. Because as leaders, it's not just what you do at work. We show up as leaders every day, as parents, as spouses, as friends, as colleagues. You sit on a board, whatever the case may be. So thank you all for sharing those. There's a lot of ways we can be impactful. Coordinating Women's Conference in Las Vegas. Thank you so much for sharing that. Dan McDermott got a few team members into 2 weeks of training. Dan and I were stationed at Ramstein, so thank you for sharing, Dan. Okay, maybe go to the next slide. Again, about me. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a federal employee, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a publisher. My hometown is from Detroit. I married this most amazing guy from Harlem, New York. His name is Andre. He's a retired Air Force civil engineer. We've been married actually in April. We will celebrate 31 years of marriage. And this union produced this lovely lady, Aliyah. She is a federal employee starting her career at Fort Gordon in Augusta. And we are amazingly proud of her and all that she will do in the world. Andre teaches 8th graders math. Y'all say a prayer for him every day. Anybody out there that's a teacher with young folks, salute each of you for your patience and your time. It's the most challenging, probably, career path, but it is very meaningful. In my pastime, I like to travel and I like to roller skate. So I've mentioned that. So next slide, please. And then, who am I to talk about this title? So here are my receipts. Entered the Air Force moons ago. Let's just say moons ago, okay? It's been a while, but I did serve for 25 years, as Melissa mentioned, had the opportunity to help reshape Air Force organizations on 5 continents. I had a beautiful Air Force career. I mean, if you would have told this airman here, this airman carpenter before I was married, that I would have had the opportunity and the experiences that the Air Force afforded me, I probably wouldn't have believed you at that time. And then the picture of me here at the Museum of Aviation, I'm actually delivering a speech to an Airman Leadership School graduation here at Team Robbins in Georgia. So as mentioned, started an event planning company. I enjoy that. We execute special events, leadership and professional development workshops, and on-demand training. The publishing company is new. I wanted that company so that I could control the content when I prepare training forums, and then also to release the book. And then education, I have an MBA, also completed my resiliency building leadership professional training certification last year. So that's been a great opportunity to meet, network with folks. And then this doctorate's degree. Dr. Swaggart is probably on this call. She is the initiative. She and Ken Jones and Michelle Dean are pushing me towards this. I just have to find the time, y'all. I said I'm going to start in the fall. I keep starting and stopping and starting and stopping, but I just got to put a date on there and just do it. I'm going to do it. I promise I'm going to do it. So thank you for all your support and the ability to, again, continue, share, grow, and learn. Next slide, Melissa. So when we talk about the WIFM, what's in it for me? For me, leadership, being an impactful leader means I get to play a role in helping in the development, mentoring of next generation leaders. That is, for me, my driving force. The word leader actually has Old English origins, and it means the one who goes first. So in this capacity where we show up as leaders, again, whatever the title is, mom, sister, spouse, you're a board member, you're the president of a board, you're the CEO of a company, you're the founder of initiative, you show up as a follower, you show up as a team member, whatever that is, the one who goes first. So I hope to impress that however you show up in whatever role or capacity, that as that one who goes first, you set the tone and the example for others to follow. As we assess the what's in it for me, I think it's very important that we take a stroll down honesty lane and we look at ourselves. So the 4 topics that we'll cover, leadership behaviors mentioned earlier, I use those to develop high-performing teams and to mentor next generation leaders. When I show up, whether I'm doing something with the local chamber, or I'm actually executing an event. So in the chat, please enter the number 1, just a 1, if you're a supervisor, and then the number 2, if you currently perform or show up every day in a non-supervisory role. Okay, we've got quite a few out there. Looks like about half, about 50%. All right. Who knows the name of this bridge that's in this picture? First to type that. Long one, really, Dan? He's a character. Florida, not where it is, the name of it. Anybody? Golden Gate, good try. Where am I from, y'all? Detroit is in what state? But I don't want the state, I want the name of the bridge. Okay, we're gonna go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Oh, there we go. Karmika Dunn. Yes, she got it. It's the Mackinac Bridge. It's a suspension bridge that actually connects the upper and lower peninsula of the state. And it's actually the longest suspension bridge between anchorages in the Western Hemisphere. So Karmika, I'm writing your name down. I'll let you know what your prize will be later. Thank you for participating, everybody. Big Mac, love it. Okay, next slide, please. So leadership behavior. Today, here are the 4 leadership behaviors that I'd like to discuss, because these are the behaviors that I believe all impactful leaders leverage to be successful, and not just successful for themselves, but also successful for the teams that they lead and or are part of. These behaviors can be applied to every aspect of our lives. So we're going to talk about respect, trust, cooperation, and empowerment. Next slide. Showing respect. Studies show that more than money and recognition, what people want most from their leaders is respect. There was a time in my career as a young airman where I felt insignificant and unsuccessful as a team member. My supervisor was impatient with my questions, constantly distracted, putting out fires and handling other tasks, and just didn't seem interested in hearing what I had to either say, share, or request in response to being able to do my job better. My next supervisor, however, asked questions that kept me engaged, genuinely cared for not just me, but other members of the team, showed appreciation, wasn't afraid to say when he didn't know something or understand something, valued our opinions, and then also helped us collectively as a group create solutions to problems. To me, that was an impactful leader. This photo captures the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Joanne Bask. She's on location in West Africa. And I promise you, the smile on the face of this young man, you could almost just see his eyes just glistening, right? This defender is just so excited. And I personally think Chief Bask is so well received when she shows up wherever she lands, because she genuinely cares. She connects with others because she remembers what it was like being a young airman, putting your best effort forward to achieve the mission. She celebrates others by thanking them for their time, their talent, and their tenacity. Chief Bask is as motivating and sincere today as she was during our tour of duty at Ramstein Air Base in Germany nearly a decade ago. Good leaders, truly good leaders, show others respect by genuinely listening to understand, asking impactful questions or insightful questions, and showing appreciation for efforts and sacrifices, and also supporting the team. So in the chat, capture one word that describes how you feel when someone shows you respect. Valued, appreciated, grateful, humbled, valued, sincere, heard, valued, visible, appreciated, valued. That's coming up a lot. Good. Validated. Okay. Empowered. Good. Who said empowered? Miss Carol Colbert. Okay, that's a good one. Grateful. Thank you, Miss Tony. Admired. Chief Bynum, appreciate you. Seen. All right, Gina. Got it. All right. Thank you so much for sharing. We get the next slide. We're going to move on to trust. So in Western culture, we have a tendency to be very independent, right? But as we strive to deliver excellence within teams and as leaders, we can't afford to operate in silos. This photograph captures a group of defenders, which is security forces personnel, at the Cheyenne Mountain Complex in Colorado Springs. The location is considered America's fortress and is perhaps the most secure facility in our country. From this military installation and nuclear bunker, analysts collect and connect data from satellites and ground-based sensors throughout the world to provide information to decision makers like NORAD, NORTHCOM, STRATCOM. When we talk about building trust, the men and women assigned to the Cheyenne Mountain Complex definitely have to trust each other. They are 2,000 feet beneath the surface of the earth and just surrounded by granite. So let's just think about that for a moment. You're 2,000 feet below the surface, right? Every entity within this organization is important. Members of the dining facility, responsible for feeding others, medical personnel in case someone's hurt, security forces that protects this whole compound, make sure no one gets in there who shouldn't be in there, firefighters, civil engineers, communication specialists, and intelligence analysts, just to name a few of the career fields of people that are in this complex. So let's think about it. If there's a fire in this facility, right, people just can't jump out of windows for egress. They have to depend on each other because they're 2,000 feet underground. Everyone must have faith, trust that the communications team is properly installed, the public announce systems, that the CE people have properly shored the walls in the structure, and that the fire chief knows this facility probably like they know the back of their hand, so that they can navigate people safely out of this structure should they need to evacuate. And how do we build trust? I have an example. May I have the next slide? So in addition to showing respect and being trustworthy, we build trust when we lead by example, communicate openly, and build relationships. One technique that I've used to build teams is this little fraction circle. So whatever size of your team is, let's say you have your first level supervision. I'm not talking your whole unit, but your first level, your division chiefs, your flight chiefs, your branch chiefs, if you're at a center, whatever that arrangement is, if you are a CEO, that E-suite, or C-suite rather, that group of individuals. So let's say you have 12 people on your team and they're responsible for different functions and areas. When you have your first orientation, right, you're appointed to lead something. Typically you come in, you spend a few weeks just checking things out, looking at the flow of how things go, looking at processes. If this is a location that they have to be inspected, you go through your inspection checklist and just see how that's coming together. Look at what they've done well, where there's opportunities for improvement. So you spend your time just taking it all in. When you have your first staff meeting, where you're gonna relate to your team, your leadership philosophy, you're gonna talk about rules of engagement, how you're going to behave and navigate as a group. I encourage you to get one of these puzzles. And as people come into the session, just hand them out. So the first thing you got to prepare for is this crazy look you're going to get when everybody gets this little piece of the pie that's got a number on it, because they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with it. Just give it to them, go through the protocol, do your presentation, let everyone share. Of course, you want consensus on how you're going to operate the office and what's going to be important for you as a team. And then at the end, when everyone's not in their head, these are our rules of engagement. These are the things that are important to us. These are topics that will make us successful, right? Make it perfectly clear that every member of the team is an equal contributor to the success of the team, right? And so there are 12 people, all 12 people hold their piece of the pie up, and then you have them just slide it together in the center of the table, wherever you're seated, to make this circle. I promise you there is something symbolic and mystical about everyone knowing that I'm a valued member of this team. I'm equally valued. I have impact. I have the ability to share and contribute. And then you put it together and you make that circle where, it forms that shape. It's almost like you all are superheroes. And when you put those pieces of the puzzle together, it almost ignites your magical power. It's something about it. You got to try it, right? Every time I've done this activity, either at the start of being a leader of a team or coming into a space where maybe it was disruptive or toxic or whatever the case may be. This activity completely disarms all of that. Any unhealthy competition, infighting, domination, dysfunctional group norms, whatever may be out there, single-handedly, this activity has brought that group back to center and allowed us to just start over and create a peaceful existence to where now we can really just go out and handle the business we need to handle, okay? Again, studies show that trust boosts innovation, collaboration, and productivity. If you try it, or when you try it, post on social media, let us know how it's going for you. If you get a different shape and that works well, please share that. All right. Again, it's for the people that you directly supervise. Okay, Melissa, can we go to the next slide? We're going to talk about boosting cooperation. When I think about cooperation, I think of naturally sports are out there and there's other entities that cooperate. But when I think of sports, I have at the top of it are these synchronized swimmers. So if anyone doesn't know about this sport, they can never touch the bottom of the pool. So some of these routines that they do are 4 minutes long. And for the people that form that base, that are underwater, that you never see when they do these jumps and twirls, you just see legs come up or arms come up that form a star or a pattern, they're holding their breath the whole time that they are underwater. So you gotta hold your breath, you can't touch the bottom of the floor, you've gotta hit these synchronized moves with precision so that the pattern looks the way it should from the top surface where the judges are looking down. And everyone has to do this with precision. I definitely think of them. So at my first duty station was at Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico. I crossed the paths with a senior master sergeant, Bracy. The man stood 6 feet, 5 inches tall, never raised his voice, never talked a lot, just only said what was necessary. And I was there for 2 years, never heard him again, just go off the handle or do anything crazy. And trust me, as a young person in supply, working in a warehouse with a host of other people, there was tons of foolishness and shenanigans where he probably could have lost it, but he never did. Because yeah, it was a lot going on. He possessed over 20 years of logistics experience, but he was never afraid to ask questions. So early in my career, I got to see someone who was at the end of their career, who was still willing to learn and grow. That was impactful for me to see that type of leadership. He was fair and he showed us respect. And when I say all of us, even the people that were just doing little jobs off to the side because they were getting discharged because they just weren't compatible with Air Force life, he still greeted them by their title. He thanked them for whatever they did for the day, and he greeted them at the end of the day when they were leaving. I just thought that was huge. What I remember most about him also was his commitment to creating a teaching and learning culture. He understood that teams rely on each other for support and opinions. And he was like the coach of a synchronized team. He always encouraged us to be interdependent and to work together. He praised us for looking over one another's work and pointed out our strengths. And most importantly, as a leader, when we would come and ask, not him, because, okay, I was an airman first class. I wasn't going to a senior master sergeant and ask him nothing. Back in the days, they were like gods. You just walk past them and just hope they didn't say anything to you because you didn't want to be in that space. But for our technical sergeants and the master sergeant that was there, before we went to those people, he encouraged us to talk to each other because we had subject matter experts within our team that we could learn from. And so again, that was impactful. Each of us have fellow team members in whatever capacity that we serve in, that we ask questions on completing tasks and navigating processes. We brainstorm together, we make suggestions, We hopefully correct candidly anything that's out of order. And then we even serve as mentors to each other. So that's very powerful. So in the chat, capture one word that describes what you gained from cooperating with other people. For me and my businesses is innovation. When I work with other people in a collaborative and cooperate with others, being open to their ideas, I get innovation and creativity, better results, insights, progress, strength, knowledge, beautiful, great inputs, networking. Thank you, Gwen. Hey, that's my cousin. Balance, progress, completeness of the mission, efficiency. Thank you, Megan. Wisdom, beautiful. Yeah. And so, you know, I'll get to this, but I had a colonel that I was with. She would always say, if I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room. And that's definitely where cooperation comes in. Productivity, less stress. That's a good one. That's a whole nother webinar. I think someone has that coming up. Trust. Thank you, Dr. Lee. Productivity. Those are great. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. Dr. Swaggart, less stress. Beautiful. Okay, let's go to the next slide, Melissa. I'm going to talk about empower the team. So a 2019 employee engagement report found that 33% of employees, 33% of employees feel undervalued at work. So to me, that says, as someone who loves talent management, that is a total loss. Those are ideas, that's productivity, that's innovation, that's creativity, that organization will just never benefit from because they are not empowering their team. And when I talk empowerment, it's all inclusive, not just what part of it is training people, giving them the tools they need so that they can reach their next big thing. That's what this picture communicates, giving people the tools they need so that they can reach their next big thing. So these young girls are learning how to code because one day they can be astronauts, they can own their own companies, and they can do anything in the world. And so as leaders, again, we got to make sure that we're giving people control so that they can have a great impact, because when they don't have control and they're not empowered, then they experience job dissatisfaction. So during my tour of duty at Ramstein, I was part of the USAFE Squadron Commanders and Spouses Seminar. And so basically what we did is any new commander coming to any military installation in the European theater would come to this conference with their spouse, and they'd learn a host of things, legal things, and just the mission of the area. And there was even an area for professional development and etiquette. But they would all come in. And each of us had different pieces of this. My piece was logistics. I was responsible from everything from helping them get their orders to actually setting up their lodging, right? And so Colonel Gammon, she was in charge. She made sure that everyone had a voice, and she created an environment where she could receive truthful feedback, because that was required. You're dealing with other commanders coming in. Some of them are the sweetest that you'll ever meet. And some people, they're just a little more demanding, right? And we had to have a forum where we could go and say, hey, this is the experience we're having. Here's a recommendation we have. And then she would help that effort be navigated or implemented. So she was open to different perspectives from the team. And again, she would always say, if I'm the smartest person in this room, I'm in the wrong room. So her willingness to empower all the members of the team allowed us to cultivate a truly powerhouse program. People would come and they would just be floored by what they were experiencing. So for me, I took the role of just provide logistics support, and I turned that into a first-class hospitality and concierge experience. When people landed at the hotel to check in, we had snacks. I would call ahead and make sure their transportation from the airport in Frankfurt was secured. If they were going to be late, they had my personal phone number. We'd go to lodging and talk with the front desk folks to make sure they didn't give their room away. We just had the ability to do all of that. And we had that because we had the access, we were fully supported, and we were empowered to leverage our talents and our experience to make this happen. So I offer to you, if you're looking into the eyes of members of your team and they're smiling, okay, tap into that power and make that your force supplier, because you all are doing something great. If you're looking into their eyes and they're not smiling, tap into the 4 leadership topics that we talked about: showing respect, building trust, demonstrating cooperation and building that cooperation, and empowering the team to create a new foundation to get you to your next big thing with that team. So call to action. Next slide, Melissa. How do we get there? I promise you, you can make a difference in the next 30 minutes. Add kindness to your voice. That's a measure of showing people respect. Making eye contact with people. Share your talents with the team to solve a problem or emergent priority. Sometimes if it's not my idea, some people feel, well, I won't share it. But then you keep that agency or that organization just struggling. You could have the proper antidote to move that team forward. Be open to listening to team members who have offered new ways to solve a problem. This is where we got to put that ego aside and be willing to cooperate. And those are just a few things. So to get to that, this call of action, we have to look at self-awareness. So I'd like to just share with leaders, next slide, and all of you have probably been indoctrinated into this, some type of personality assessment. So whether you use the Myers-Briggs, the True Colors, the 16 personalities, thank you, Dr. Swagger, for sharing that one with me, or the DISC, take the time, I recommend as a leader, once a year, to just do an assessment and see where you fall. Assessing your personality makeup allows you to understand your strengths and weaknesses, okay? Also, assessing your personality makeup helps us interact more effectively with others, understand how we make decisions, and improves our leadership capacity. So take the time to do that. This understanding can increase productivity. We've talked about that. It can reduce conflict because you can help navigate, and it can enhance communication and clarify motivation. So just to show you how this shows up, Shawn, I'm the eldest child. I have a little tendency to be a little bit bossy, just a little bit. Don't nobody type in this chat either. Okay, I can be a little bit bossy. We can get some stuff going. I know that about myself. I know that I can be in the weeds because I'm very detail oriented. I know that about myself. When I'm setting up for an event, I have a vision for how I want that event or workshop to go. When the team meets, we establish code words. And the code word that I have to keep me from going too deep in the weeds is deep diving. So I tell the group when we have our first planning meeting, our code word to pull Shawn back in when she's just a little too deep in the weeds is deep diving. And so when we're setting up and we're planning stuff, and then I'm on one of my spirals, someone will say, well, I wonder if we're going to go to Florida to go deep diving. And the moment I hear that word deep diving, I know I'm too deep in the weeds. Nobody is being attacked. It's said, we've thrown it out there so we can use it. So it's said in an environment that's free of judgment or anyone getting in trouble or any type of retaliation. We laugh it off. I know to pull back, and then we move on with the planning. So that's something. I use humor a lot. But again, if I would have never taken any of these tests, assessments, and I'm not open to knowing how my personality works, and then I'm not willing to share that, be honest, be authentic, be vulnerable with your group and say, hey, This is a strength I have. I'm going to make sure everything's checked off. We're on the right track. We have an inspection or whatever the case may be. We will be ready. The flip side of that is I can analyze a little too much. I can go too deep into the weeds. I need you all to help me, pull me back when I'm in that zone. And I use code words to do that. So do whatever works for you. But again, you got to be honest and willing and open to that. So next slide. Once we're self-aware, we need to practice leading with air. And I use that term, action, impact, and results. So I'm going to ask each of you to complete an assignment. We're going to go through the 3 steps of this. If you can use a device, or if you have a sheet of paper, you can just draw it in this quad grid like this. And then this one, I'm going to use the example of mentoring. So in this photo, I was selected for promotion to senior master sergeant. And this is Coop and Coop. So Doug Cooper, Melvin Cooper was with me there, and then Eric Cooper. And these were chiefs that were at the location that served as mentors for me at this time. So in this example, I'm just going to speak, for instance, if we were looking to mentor other people. In your top corner where I have the picture, or on your paper, however you're calculating this or annotating this rather, just type what your goal is. What is it that you'd like to do, change, shape as a leader, as an impactful leader? I'll give you a few minutes to just think of that thing, and then we'll move to the next one. So once you got that thing, let's go to the next one. Can you build the slide, Melissa? So action. Capture what will you do? So like I said, in the example of mentoring, could you lead, if your example is mentoring others or coaching, could you lend your time, talent, and tenacity to mentor, coach, sponsor, or guide others? And of course, all of those mean different things. Mentoring is different than coaching, different than sponsorship. All right, so capture what you will do. Next, can you build it to the next one? And the impact. Who will benefit from your action? So if you're mentoring or coaching or sponsoring or guiding others, clearly identify the person or the group that will benefit from your mentorship, coaching, sponsorship, or guidance. Capture that. And then Melissa, will you build the last one? And then a result. What will your action improve? So for example, will your efforts improve continuity within the team? From a mentorship, I was always just grown up in the Air Force and taught you create your replacement. Okay, so that could be an action, a result. Create your replacement. And then I started this conversation with my WIFM is to build, develop, mentor next generation leaders. That could be your result. What will you improve? And then I encourage you to just look over this daily. When you reach that particular milestone or goal, then you just start all over. Keep plugging something in that top box that you're going to work on, and then move forward. All right, so now, next slide. Questions. Any questions for me? Look up here. And Melissa, you'll let me know on this one. Are they going to type the question, or this is the part where they can unmute themselves?
If they prefer to unmute, as long as they're not on background noise, because sometimes it's difficult to hear, but I'll also use the chat as well.
They could type. All right. Okay, so the Slay Queen, Rochelle Hemingway. Thank you, Chief, for being here today. She says, what leadership behaviors matters to you the most? To me. So actually the ones that I've captured in this presentation, my book captures 9 leadership behaviors, but I truly believe respect, trust, cooperating with others, and empowering others. So when you come into a role, and whatever that role is, I can't get anywhere to mission success until I have the trust and respect of my team. Now, some teams can operate, they'll flail around and they'll crank some things out and they'll get something done. But you're in one of those push, pull, and carry type of efforts where it's a struggle every day just to move an inch because maybe the people don't like the leader or where they are. When that trust and that respect factor comes in, I mean, I remember being a young troop in storage and issue in the warehouse, and our supervisor would come in there, Senior Bracy or Master Sergeant Kim would come in there, and they say, okay, we got to work 16 hours. Because these individuals were so dynamic and so impactful, and because they poured so much into us, I would have worked 24 hours straight and wouldn't have complained a single moment. I was a young airman. We want to get off work. We want to go to the club. We want to go to El Paso. We want to go see a UTEP game. We weren't trying to stay in that warehouse. But for him, I would do it. So those are my top: the respect, the trust, treating folks the way you want to be treated, and beyond that, just genuinely caring for people, showing up and being sincere. A lot of times I was in a position where I was a leader, but I was the youngest person in the office. So when I'm speaking to someone who's elder than me and providing them guidance for how we need to move forward in a mission or on a project, there's a level of respect, as if I'm speaking to my favorite auntie, or if they're even older than me, maybe like a parent. That level of reverence is there, whether it's an airman basic or a 4-star general. And I think we just need to impart more of that. Not Shawn speaking to you or Chief Barnwell speaking to you because she's the chief. I'm speaking because we have a mission, we have a shared objective and goal, and we're all here to do that. I'm here to help you do that and support you in the capacity that I can, but we're here collectively to get this done. So those are my 4, definitely out the gate. Okay, I'm gonna have to scooch this back up. Okay, so that was Chief. What are your 5 other? Oh, I'm gonna send you a book. Did you get the book? So, okay, if I had to do 5 others, then it would be, so we've got respect, trust, we have cooperation, because you got to have the first 2 to get to that one, and then empowerment, pouring into your team. So then after that, my next 5 would be emotional intelligence, being able to be empathetic and sympathetic with your team, to understand one size does not fit all, but to be fair, right? So that's 1. Courage and character, doing the right thing, when nobody's looking, and no matter how hard it is, you've got to do that. Those are definitely there. Communication, being open and honest with the team, to me draws back to that respect part. Let me see, what else would I put out there? Integrity is definitely, because as a leader, there's going to be some hard calls you're going to have to make. And while you may not personally agree with it, you got to look, is it legal? Is it fair? Am I being consistent? And so you're going to have to be able to make those calls. And then the 5th one, I would say, would be, what I think fairness goes with integrity. Embracing diversity would be 1. Where you extend the opportunity for all people on your team, age, gender, race, nationality, to just be able to reach their next big thing. So I'm gonna pull everybody in. Everybody has something to add, right? And pour into you so you can get to your next big thing, so we can keep the mission going. All right, what was your biggest leadership challenge to overcome? So Dan, I call him 6 mil, y'all. My greatest leadership challenge, I think, was just being pushed out there, just doing it, right? Thinking that there had to be this perfect recipe for everything to synchronize in the universe, and then I can be a leader. Like if I read 1,000 books and I went to 1,000 hours of professional development, and you just did all these things, it's like, okay, now I'm ready. No, you just got to get out there. Some things you'll get right, but some things you won't. I love this quote from the Honorable Nelson Mandela. He says, I never lose, I either win or learn. And to me, that's what leadership is. You're not going to do everything right, but you got to step out there. You've got to do it. You'll learn as you go. You won't make that same mistake again, hopefully. You'll learn to listen more. You'll be patient more. You'll evaluate and assess risks frequently or at a greater speed. You know, you'll be more agile and efficient, and you'll move forward. So I hope I answered that. How do you communicate with a leader that keeps cutting you off when you speak? Yeah. So let them talk. That is deeper than you. That's someone who is just, waiting to understand, or not. Well, they're not listening to understand. They want to be heard. Let them just get it all out. You might have to let them get it out in more than one session if that's how they operate. And then once they finish speaking, because they like to hear themselves talk, repeat what they said. So if I understand you correctly, Mr. Jackson, you're interested in doing X, Y, and Z. I think that's a really good idea. May I also offer a project that we've been working on where we did X, Y, and Z, and here are the results that we had. Just kind of slide it on in there. First, listen, repeat what they said, and then add your little piece on there. I hope that helps. Of course, it elevates depending on the ego. That would be the diplomatic way. Some people, if you might have to pull them aside and use your I statements. I noticed that when we're in the staff meeting and I get ready to make a recommendation, it appears that you cut me off. And just ask them, why are they doing that? They may not realize they're doing that. Some people, their mind moves so fast in thought that the minute a thought jumps in their mind, they have to say it. And so maybe if you're the leader of that group and someone's doing this, or you're a member, just make sure everybody has something to write with and say, hey, feel free to just jot down your thoughts. I'll make sure, this is where the trust and respect comes in. I'll make sure that before we leave, we cover everyone's concerns. And if we run out of time, I will still address it via email or whatever form is appropriate, so that they know that idea won't be left on the table and never addressed. But I would start there. Just listen, restate what they said, and then put your piece on the end of that. All right. If a leader does not possess emotional intelligence, what actions can he or she take to learn? Buy my book. Look, LaTanya. So LaTanya's in Texas. There's some games that you could play. So recommend, here's what I do. They're the leader. So you always want to be careful because you don't want to bruise anyone's ego. So one thing you could do as a follower or a subordinate in that organization is to volunteer to host a training session. And since you know that's something that could benefit the whole team, you create a training effort or exercise or activity that helps everyone hone into emotional intelligence. And of course, you're going to invite the leader to be part of it. They should be part of it. And then maybe that'll plant the seed and start the conversation. So volunteer to do some training, make that emotional intelligence building effort part of your training activity, and see where that goes from there. Okay. And if that doesn't work, then you could do more. You could have a side conversation. You could create a professional reading library where you swap books and you share a book on emotional intelligence. That might work. Okay. Thanks for that. Okay. All right. Lorena. Hey, Lorena. She's in North Carolina. What is the daily behavior you do that helps you fine tune your leadership skills? Probably listening. I think as leaders, in whatever capacity, I mean, we're empty nesters and it's just Andre and I here. I still have to listen. I have to focus on listening because I'm telling y'all, I'm that one. I get a thought or a project or initiative going and I'm on a bullet train and I have to pull back and just listen and take it all in and assess. So probably I typically start my day 4:30 and I'm meditating. So if I go for a morning jog or I'm actually just sitting still and meditating, it's to help me just hone into listening. I hope that helps, Ms. Venegas. Okay, I think that's all the questions. I hope I did. I'm gonna scooch back up, see if I miss anything. I don't think I think I got them all. Oh, wait a minute, there's something new. Okay, Mr. Lawrence says love it. Okay, I think I got everyone. All right, beautiful. So with that, we can go to the next slide, Miss Melissa. All right, so I love this quote. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I open today's discussion by stating that impactful leaders do three things. They solve problems, they support the pack, and the pack is mission and people, and they develop new leaders. During the discussion, we also talked about behaviors that help us build high-performing teams, resiliency, high-performing, resilient, and cohesive teams, and also to be more engaged. And those were showing respect, building trust, boosting cooperation, and then empowering all of your team members, right? So that definitely helps us go far and go together. When we are all self-aware and leverage impactful leadership behaviors, we can confidently shape change and leave this world better than we found it. All right. Again, thank you for the graciousness of your time. It's been an honor to be with you. I'm going to announce the little winners here and show you how we can, y'all not little, I shouldn't say that. I'm going to announce our spectacular winners and let you know how you can get your prize and what your prize is going to be. So I have this thing for numbers. So the first person that I saw that signed in was Allison Chambers. I don't know you, Allison, but thank you. So you have my email here. If you will just text me your mailing address, you're going to get a copy of my book, Leadership is About Behavior, Not Titles. I'm going to sign it for you too. So when you send me the email, I'll capture your name that way. If you want to add a rank or a title, just include that in your email and I'll sign your book that way. So 12th, I'm a December baby. The 12th person was Jennifer, I believe it's Staves. I hope I'm saying your name right. Stavis? You can correct me if I'm not saying that correctly. Okay, and so again, email me your mailing address and I'll send you a copy of the book. Commissioner Ross, you got a new team. I'm going to send you 5 copies for your team.
Shawn. Thanks, Shawn.
Yes, ma'am. So you just capture email me, or you can text me, ma'am, and I'll get that to you. Carmika, I know you have a copy of the book. So if you want to gift a copy to someone, you just let me know how you want to gift that, and I will get that book to you. Now, the last person, I want to go back to where you're from. Who's the furthest apart? Who's the furthest distance from Georgia? That's where I am. So I saw Trying to scooch up here. We had Texas. Anyone, how about this? Anyone outside the continental US? No? Oh, wait a minute, I got new messages. Let me go back down here. Okay, doesn't look like anybody's outside the continental US. Okay, anybody in California? Melissa, you? Okay, we got Maryland. I think there are a few people in the DMV.
There's some others from California. I'm excluding myself.
Okay, who's from California?
If Karen's still on here, she might.
No, we got 2 from Maryland, California, all the way West Coast. Okay, maybe they had to go. Okay, who said something about some Lakers? What? That doesn't count, Mr. Jackson. You in Maryland, but you from California via the Lakers. That's funny. Okay. Originally or now? Okay, Melissa. That's fine. Which one? You tell me. You're in Guam. Aren't you in Guam? I thought she was in Guam. Born in California, but you sent me information about Guam. Live in Ohio. Okay, California, she was born in California. Okay, Melissa, if you will send me your mailing address, you'll get a copy of the book. Farthest distance. All right, everybody. Thank you again. I appreciate you. Thank you for the graciousness of your time. If there's ever anything, you know, I can do or add to the conversation or the dialogue, whatever form you like, you got my contact information, let me know. Please support this magnificent agency, you know, they have a store, you can get some snazzy stuff, but they have a beautiful mission of supporting and advancing the efforts of women veterans. So please participate in the capacity that you definitely have the time and effort for. Melissa, thank you so much. Everybody, be well, take care, keep soaring.
Thank you, Shawn.
All right, ciao.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, thank you.